circuits. So if it's closed, it's red, which if a circuit's closed, it's like the door is closed and it's connecting the two sides. That's red. And if it's open, it's green. So this whole red, and that's not what I'm talking about this morning, but if you know anything about me, I'm kind of all over the place. So this weekend, the youth, we got together and we did a mission. We called it Mission B412 weekend. And so I just felt like it was a good time for the Lord to kind of just, it's a good time of the year because even though the start of the year is January, for some reason everything starts in August. I mean, that's how we work. Like the new church year, we're starting in August. School starts in August. I think financial year starts in August. And so why don't we just make New Year's like January or July 31st and just bring in the fireworks? But we can't do that because we just had fireworks for Fun Fest. So I'm thinking that the whole calendar of the when things start revolves around Fun Fest. But not really. But so to start the first of the church year and the first of the school year, I just kind of felt led and tried to figure out a way to start the year with a mission mindset, with a kingdom mindset, just kick it off. And so we had 2 sessions on Friday evening, and then we had a session yesterday morning, and then we went to the Dollywood yesterday, and we rolled in here at like 11:00. I got here at 11:08, but some people didn't get here till later. But anyway, so I just kind of wanted to I try my best to over communicate because I thank you. She's like, no, never. And so I have a story about that, by the way. Because I feel like in the world that we're in, there's a lot of under communication, and there's a lot of confusion because of under communication. It's like, well, I didn't know you were doing that. Well, I told you. Are you sure? Yeah, I told you we were doing that. Well, I didn't hear you. So I try to over communicate so there's no doubt that everybody knows what's going on. Am I successful every time? Absolutely not. But I give it a go. So whenever the youth has an event or something like that, I like to inform the church of what we are doing. So you guys, because, there would be no youth without you, and there's young ears, and I'm not going to tell you how that's a purpose, but without you all, there would be no youth, right? And so the Lord has blessed us with this great youth group, and I did not tell them all to sit together. That's all them. So this weekend we started, the first session was about building relationships. You build relationships and, representing Christ. And so, and it's pretty much how do you do that? How do you build a relationship? Oh, I'm a big dialogue person, so if you don't talk, we'll be here at least till freeway. How do you build a relationship? Communication. You build a relationship through communication. So you strengthen a relationship through communication. But how do you start it, right? You got to find out that person exists. Can I use you because you're sitting right here? So here's a person, right? This person is existing in my circle. To start a relationship, I have to say, hi, my name's Jay. Your name is Sarah. But yes, I would have to introduce myself to said person, right? So now we have started, right? And so if I was to come over here, he's now in my circle. Hi, my name is Jay. That's Dean. Nice to meet you, Dean. So you introduce yourself. Step number 2. If you want to continue building that relationship, you've got to communicate. You've got to talk. You've got to learn about this person. You learn what their likes. You learn their dislikes. You learn their past. You learn where they came from. Because we are who we are because of what we've been through. Right? That kind of sets the Lord puts us on a path for a reason. So you get to know that path. If they know Jesus, you get to know their testimony. Where did they come from? So if you want to continue strengthening this relationship, you hang out with each other, right? You watch football together, or you hang out, whatever you do. You hang out. You spend time with that person. You continue communicating, and that relationship just gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, right? Yes, thank you. So a relationship with Jesus is no different than a relationship with Dean or Sarah or the youth or whoever. So I think people think that this Jesus, the relationship is different on building it. It's not any different. He enters into your world in some way. In some way, whatever that way may be. Maybe you're going through a tough time, or maybe somebody invited you to church. Whatever that is, he enters into your circle. You learn about him. You learn who he is, or like who he is, and what kind of he's about. And then you're like, I think I want to get to know this feller. Jesus, nice to meet you. I'm so and so. You already know me, but you introduce yourself. You accept him. You communicate with him through prayer. You learn about his life through his word. You live life with Jesus by reading his word, right? In the New Testament, you go where Jesus went. You communicate with the people Jesus is currently communicating with, and you start to grow that relationship. That's no different than building a relationship with anybody here. The steps are the same, okay? But then we got to realize that if we're part of a youth group or if we're part of a church, your life is going to be kind of looked at with a little bit more scrutiny. Is it fair? No, absolutely not. But it is what it is. That is out of our control, how somebody else views us. The only thing we can control is our attitude toward it and the effort that we put into it. That's what we can control. So, we can control how we act. We can control how we interact. We can control how we react. We can control how we communicate. And we can control how deep and how mature we want our relationship with Jesus to go. Just like Preston said earlier, we offer communion, but you don't have to take it every week if you don't feel worthy at the time. He offers us his friendship, his relationship, eternity with him forever. Whether we take it or not, that's completely up to us. Whether we want to build and grow that relationship, that's on us. How we act once we have this relationship with him, with our peers, our work people, wherever, that is on us too. But we have to realize that we are his representatives here. We represent Jesus wherever we go. In our homes, at school, at work, at the red light, at St. Arbuck's, at the Walmart. We are his representatives. We represent truth and grace, which is Jesus. So, and then at the same time, because I can get frustrated with people because I'm just like, really? Why, you knew that was going to happen. Why do you think it's going to be any different? You chose that. Now you're upset because it happened to you, and you're in that spot because of your choice, but there's no personal responsibility anymore. Is it? I mean, am I wrong? It's like it's always somebody else's fault, right? I stubbed my toe because you put that coffee table there. Did you really? No, you stubbed your toe on the coffee table because you tried to cut around the corner or leap over it, knowing that the coffee table was there. I did not put the coffee table there going, no, it's in the wide open space. You've got 7 feet on both sides. It's not my fault you stubbed your toe. Or, I got a speeding ticket because blah, 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 blah. Well, you got a speeding ticket because you were speeding. I mean, it's nobody else's fault. Is your foot on the throttle? Absolutely. So you can't blame somebody else for that. And so the thing is, our culture that we live in, we lack that. It's always somebody else's fault. Not always, most of the time. Sorry, mass generalization. Sometimes there are some people that take personal responsibility. But the thing is, that's why it's kind of hard sometimes to share Jesus, because they think they're not doing anything wrong. They think what they're doing is perfectly A-okay, fine, but it's not really. So people really sometimes the challenge is they don't want to hear the truth, especially if it goes against how they're living their life or goes against what they think to be true. Does that make sense? Okay. We have to walk that line of truth and grace, because if you just jump over here on the truth side and be like, what you're doing is completely wrong, you need to change your ways, da, 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 da. They're going to be like, who are you to tell me what I'm doing, right? But if you go way over here on this side, which is, hopefully I'm not way this far over, you go over here and be like, oh, what you're doing, that's completely A-okay. Jesus loves you and he will forgive everything that you do, which is true. But he also, like the prostitute, says, go and sin no more. So if you just do what you're doing, and you're doing what you're doing, and you're doing what you're doing, and you keep wanting grace, 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 knowing that what you're doing is wrong, I call that cheap grace, because there's no change. There's no repentance. Jesus walked that line like the kids walked in perfectly. What they were doing was wrong, but he was like compassionate with it. Merciful with his word. Word choice is huge. Word choice is huge. And we live in a culture today that's all about fact checking. If I hear the word fact checking, it's always fact checking. Let me fact check that. Let me fact check that. What are you, where's the source of the complete thing that you got, that all these people are fact checking? Like, is there like they don't have encyclopedias anymore, but what are they referencing? I know it's not the Bible for the most part in the media. What are they checking it against? The Google or the Yahoo or the whatever. But can you even believe that with all the AI stuff? I mean, we're living in a... Has anybody watched Seinfeld? We're living in a society. But the thing is, the only truth is the Word of God is the only truth. And are we fact-checking against that? And as we do that, are we fact-checking with truth and grace? Are we on that line? I gave them these bracelets. What would Jesus do? Breaking back the 90s, baby. Let's go. But it's a good reminder. Because we have to realize no matter what we've done, what we're doing, we're still sinners, and Christ died for us. Romans 5:8. And then we have to realize that it all starts and it all ends with love. Because I know we have some math people. Anybody got math people? Any math people in here? No. What does the equal sign mean in English? Like if you go 2 plus, we don't say 2 plus 2 equals 4. We say 2 plus 2 is 4. So if that equal sign is the word is, right? So if Jesus is the Alpha and the Omega, that means Jesus equals Alpha Omega. If Alpha and Omega is the beginning and the end, that means Jesus is the beginning and the end. Are you following me here? And in the Word, it also said that God is love, right? So that means God equals love. So if Jesus is God, Jesus equals God. And if God equals love, Jesus equals love. Jesus is love. And if Jesus is the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning, and the end, love is the beginning and the end. It all starts and ends with love, with Jesus. Because life is short. Life is short. James 4:14 says, yet you do not know what tomorrow will bring. I could walk out this door and just drop. I could pull out. I have a bright red vehicle. Okay, I don't understand this. My vehicle, I have a bright red vehicle and I have a bright yellow vehicle. And people still pull out in front of me. I'm like, it's bright yellow. How do you not? Anyway, that's not here nor there. But it says, what is your life? For you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. You're like the morning fog. We aren't guaranteed tomorrow. We talked about Kung Fu Panda. What was the tortoise's name again? Uwe? Oogway? Oogway. Master Oogway, the tortoise in Kung Fu Panda, this cartoon says, live today as a gift because it's called the present for a reason. It is a present. It is a gift. Because we're not guaranteed tomorrow. None of us are. We'd like to think so because we're like, I'll just get to that tomorrow. I'll get to that next week. Yeah, well, you may not be here. That's all up to him. We got to live today. We have to live today because we don't know what tomorrow will bring. The most important thing that we have to remember going day to day is the dash. That dash on your tombstone. That is your legacy. Mine would be 1991 till the other one. That dash between 1981 dash whatever that number is, that dash is my legacy. That dash is what matters. What did I do for the kingdom of God in that dash? That's our legacy. What are people going to say about you? And by the way, when I die, there'll be no crying when I die. So if you know me, I'm telling you now, if I die or when I die and anybody cries, get out, because we're not sad, we're celebrating, because I'm spending glory with my daddy. And I'm going to be partying with my fountain of Mountain Dew and waiting on Preston to come up riding his giraffe or whatever he's going to be doing. All right? So don't be crying. We partying. We celebrate. So anyway, but that dash is our legacy, what we leave behind. When people say, boy, that Jay, that one-eyebrow Asian kid, he was ridiculous. But what did I do for the kingdom? What is that legacy? What is it going to be? Because when our lives end, we have to stand before God. Believers and non, we've got to stand before God. Everyone. Everyone. Those that know him and those that don't. Matthew 7:21-23, it says, not everyone, and this could sting a little bit. It says, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. On this day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and do many mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. See, there's a difference in knowing Jesus and knowing about Jesus. I know about Tom Holland. Tom Holland, I told the youth, he looks like he's like 13 years old. He's an incredible gymnast, plays an amazing Spider-Man, and apparently likes taller ladies because he's engaged to, I can't pronounce her name, Zendaya. Did I get it right? Let's go. So, like, he likes the ladies who are on the taller side, but I don't know Tom Holland. I know about Tom Holland. I know what he does. I don't know him, but I know Cassie. Like, I know that she, in her black tea, she likes a little bit of sugar and cream. If she drinks green tea, she likes just a little bit of honey because sometimes it gets too sweet, and she likes a little warmy thing warmed up before bed. Like, I know about her because I know her. There is a difference in knowing about Jesus and knowing Jesus. And I think a lot of people miss heaven by 12 inches between knowing about Jesus and knowing Jesus. But that's why we as believers, we have to live with this kingdom mindset. We have to live with this kingdom mindset. We have to realize that people need Jesus. People need love, and people need a tangible relationship. People need this. People need this. People need this. Give me a hug. Act like you love me. People need this. We are made to be tangible. We are tangible people, seeing, feeling, touching, tasting, all the foodies out there. You can take a picture of a plate of food and it looks good, but I don't know if it's going to taste good because I haven't smelled it or tasted it. But we are made to be tangible. We aren't made for keyboard relationships. We aren't made for the book face. We aren't made for the gram, the snap, the tweet, whatever. That's well, fine, and good and all that to communicate, but that's not what we're made for. And I think the enemy knew that during COVID when he locked everybody up, because we need tangible relationships. We need a high five, hug, and a handshake every now and once and again. The world needs that. And to do that, we got to live by the fruits of the Spirit, Galatians 5. We got to live with love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against these things there is no law. That's how we have a kingdom mindset and reach people that need Jesus and need love. We live by the fruits of the Spirit. We meet people where they are, and we don't assume people know right from wrong, because they don't. They don't. If they don't know Jesus, we're all born with this sin nature, right? And if someone doesn't know Jesus, we can't expect them to act like they know Jesus. They've never seen the light. They don't know what it looks like. That's like going to Ethan or Levi and go, hey, can you drop that diesel out of the Jeep? I need you to change the glow plugs in it. And I need you to do it in 6 hours. They're 8 and 10. They have no idea what that means. I can't get angry at them because they don't know how to do that. They've never experienced that. They don't know how to do that. And I think we as Christians, we think that this society, there's 68,000 people-ish that live in Kingsport. 20% of those, which is the number they figured out, was 13,000 and what? 13,600 people actively attend church. 20%. So how many of those 20% in church actually have a relationship with Jesus? And we're expecting everybody to act like they know who he is. We can't do that. That's not fair to them. They don't know. It's our job, our duty, our responsibility to represent Jesus to these people. And we meet them where they are. We got to meet them where they are, just like Jesus did. He never forced the gospel down people's throats. Nowhere did I read Jesus go, turn or burn, you evil sinner. It might be in there. I haven't seen it. What did he do, though? He loved on people. Matthew 9, he ate with the tax collectors. He ate with the sinners. He hung out with them. He made that tangible relationship with them. The Samaritan woman, he could have there. Listen here, you need to. What did he do? I will give you the water that you will never thirst again. And he was like, I know the guy that you're not living with is not your husband. I mean, you've had 4 of those, but he could have handled that completely. He could have handled it in 2025 way, but he didn't. He didn't judge. He met her physical needs. He goes to the man at the pool of Bethesda. He goes to people. He went to the Samaritan lady. He went to the guy at the pool of Bethesda. He didn't sit in the temple with the doors open expecting people to walk through, because that ain't happening now. People aren't, as much as we want people just to be like, oh, that LifeBridge looks like a cool church, let's go in there. That ain't happening. We have to go to people. We have to be LifeBridge to people. John 8, kneels with the prostitute, draws a line in the sand, handled it with grace. Said, if you've never sinned, toss it. Then he tells her, he doesn't give her a pass. He says, now go and sin no more. But he goes to her. He doesn't stand on the sidewalk and be like, this is going to be a good show. Goes to her. The bleeding lady, he's walking through town. She does come to him. And I threw that example in there because the other ones, Jesus is going. Like you'll have a few that come through. I'm not saying it ain't going to happen. But the bleeding lady went to Jesus. So there are examples where people come to him, but the majority of them, he's going to them. Because to Jesus, Christianity is a relationship. It's not a religion. Religion is man-made rules and guidelines. Jesus is a person. Jesus is a relationship that we grow in. We get closer to. That tangible relationship. We talked about having to share the gospel. Is that our focus? What is your main focus? Every day. No matter where you are. God has placed us in particular spots because I will never reach the people that you're in touch with or in your weekly thing. I won't reach yours. You won't reach mine. I'm not at Dobbins Bennett or at Oak Cottage or West Ridge. I can't reach the group of people that these youth are with. God has us where he has us for a particular reason and a purpose. And everybody thinks to go on a mission trip, you got to go overseas or you got to go to a different part of the country. I tell you guys, the biggest mission field is right here in our backyard. And if we can't and share the love of Jesus and we can't share the gospel with people here on a daily basis, so when we go, what does that make us? Like I'll share the gospel as long I'll go on a mission trip. I'll spend a week in Georgia and I'll do this for the love of Jesus. But when I get home, I'm not going to share Jesus here. Why? How are the people in Georgia more important here? Or I'll go over to Uganda or Mexico or wherever, and I'll share the gospel over there. But when I get home, I ain't gonna do that, John. Why? People are people, and people are hurting everywhere. Dollywood. People are hurting in Dollywood. Is that our focus? Is our day-to-day focus to live out the fruits of the Spirit? Live out the fruits of the Spirit. Tell the love of Jesus. Tell him what he's good. Because I don't know about you all, but I think that's pretty good news that I don't have to spend eternity down in HE double hockey sticks with a gnashing of teeth, which I don't even know what it means, but it sounds terrible because I've had a toothache, and I don't even want that, so gnashing just sounds awful. Forever. And torment. Forever. That's pretty good news. I met a guy that loves me to death, literally, so I could spend eternity in paradise with my Mountain Dew fountain. Okay, that is good news to me. I recently got in contact with my brother who didn't know I existed for 33 years of his entire life, and he sent me pictures of it. I have nieces, from my brother. I'm telling everybody this stuff. And they're like, I don't even know who you are. And I'm like, look at this picture. This is my niece. What are you talking? It's good news to me, so I'm sharing it. If we get a promotion, if we get a new house, a car, we got a baby on the way, whatever, we're telling people, right? Because it's good news. Are we telling people about Jesus daily as we live? As Mercy means, that's the best news ever. Because we're afraid someone might laugh at us? Seriously? To share, it's not that difficult. If you believe it, because that's how we should be living our lives. People should see a difference in how we live, and how we interact with each other, and how we communicate. But still, we got to be prepared. I mean, he's going to give you the words to say. And if you ask for situations where I can be, hey, Lord, give me a situation today where I can live out the fruits of the Spirit. So hang on, because he's going to give it to you. If you ask for patience, he's not going to automatically be like, patience. There you go. He's going to give you situations where you got to be patient. And in those situations, you're like, Lord, give me patience. He's like, I'm trying. You asked for this. But we got to be prepared. How are you prepared? You study. You look at the life of Jesus. How did he interact with people? What did he do? You got to talk to the Lord. He's the one that did it. Talk to him. You got a direct line of communication. All you got to do is dial. He'll pick up. And you got to be willing to do it. You got to be willing to do it. And he will equip you. He doesn't equip the able, or he equips the able and the willing. If you're just willing, he'd be like, all right, if you like I told them, if you open up the Bible and be like, I'm going to read this verse today. This is in 1 Peter. I guarantee you at some point in the future, he's going to bring that verse back to mind, because God's word does not come back void. He will put you in a situation where that verse will be relevant in something. And we got to be intentional with it. We have to be intentional with it. We got to look for opportunities. We got to meet people where they are with no judgment. We got to speak truth. We got to speak grace. We got to walk the line. And where do you give the glory? There's a new song by Rhett Walker out. I don't have it written down. Look at God breaking my chains, making me move in a million ways. Getting me through them highs and lows. If there's anything good in me, I'll tell you where the glory goes. Look at God. Where do you give glory? It's nothing through I can do. And I gave them a challenge. I'm a challenge person. While we were at Dollywood, I challenged and I said, I trust. I'm gonna trust you. I'm not gonna ask you to give me an example. But I challenged them out of the however many hours we were at Dollywood that they would intentionally share the gospel or plant a seed, because that's all we are. We plant seeds. We are messengers. We can't save people, but we can plant the seed. We can nurture the seed, and when the Lord softens that person's heart and they accept him, we can harvest the seed. But we can't save them. We can tell them the message. And so I challenged them to plant a seed with 3 to 5 people at Dollywood while they were there, because you got opportunities all day. Cassie prayed with these 2 little girls while we were waiting on Mystery Mine, because she was scared. She's like, one of the little girls, she goes, I'm nervous. And, Cassie's like, well, you want to pray? She said, yeah. Because I know someone that will give you a peace that surpasses all understanding. I shared the gospel with a Dippin' Dots lady who was frustrated because she wasn't busy because of the rain. The thing is, if the opportunities are there, but we got to look through them through a Jesus lens. So my challenge to you all is no different from the youth group. Be intentional. Find somebody to share the gospel with. Because we're starting this new year, we're starting this new church year. My challenge is that we live with this kingdom mindset, planting seeds for Jesus and sharing the gospel. Because you don't know. You may never see somebody accept Christ, but you can sure plant the seed. It may take them years, because you don't know what kind of ground that seed that you plant is going to fall on. We got to realize knowing him is different than knowing about them. They can talk about Jesus and, he lived in this and that, and he died here, and da-da-da, he walked here. Yeah, you know about him. Do you know him? Do you know him? I can rattle off facts, but do you know him? Meet people where they are and realize that believe that Jesus is a relationship. He built relationships, and we got to live out the fruits of the Spirit daily. That's what we went over in a nutshell for the youth group. And so on our last song, I asked if anybody saw a pattern in the music. So if Preston will come up and kind of pray and support. But the first song we did was God So Loved. That's to let people know, hey, there's this Jesus guy. God so loved the world that he gave us his one and only Son to save us. Whoever believes in him will live forever, right? The second song was Graves into Gardens. You turn graves into gardens, right? I searched the world, but it couldn't fill me, because this man's empty praise and treasures that fade, they're never enough. Then you came along. For God so loved the world, he sent his Son. For you came along, and you put me back together. Now every desire is now satisfied here in your love. You turned my mourning to dancing. You gave beauty to my ashes. You turned my shame into glory. So this is progressing in the relationship. You find out Jesus is here. Man's empty praise isn't going to get you salvation. He turns your graves into gardens. Now you've met Jesus. Now let me tell you about my Jesus. He makes a way where there ain't no way. Rises up from an empty grave. We're sharing now. We heard about, we met, we share. Give me Jesus. I don't need anything but him. Building that relationship. And for our invitation song, the song is called Made for More, which goes for the ones who believe and the ones who do not believe. Because the chorus says, I wasn't made to be tending a grave because I was called by name, born and raised back to life again. I was made for more. So my challenge to you guys is, as we kind of close out and reflect, pray for opportunities. That Jesus will show you opportunities to share his love and his grace and his mercy. If you know him. If you just know about him, I invite you to come up here and we'll introduce you to him and build that relationship with him.